Okay, in this lesson we are going to do a little bit of a review, and this review of course is going to be on animating modifiers. Now in project 3 we are going to be doing some kind of product failure or accident reenactment. So what I'm going to show you today may or may not be relevant to your lesson. However, I want to just cover the basics on how we're going to do that. As we learned in animation 1, if we had, say, a cylinder here, and the cylinder can represent, like I say, a steel cylinder or something of that nature. In fact, I can go ahead and cut my radius down to about 5. If I want to bend this, I go into Modify, and I go to Bend. And I can type in, say, 90 degrees. And it bends. And you can see that from the side, the front view here, actually, we have several segments. Now to make that a little bit more real, I could go ahead back into the original cylinder settings and up my segments. And that gives me a little bit of a smoother bend. Now that's fine. I've used that modifier as a modeling technique. But let's go back and take the bend back to 0. And as we've reviewed lately with that object selected, I'm going to go ahead and use my little zoom extents all selected. Anytime we have the auto key button on, anything we change, virtually almost everything we change when the auto key button is on, will become animated. So if we were doing some kind of situation, in fact, let me turn auto key back off for a second here. And let's say we were doing this box, okay, was moving across our scene, and it happened to have some kind of force behind it. And that force was enough to keep the box going straight, but with this pipe in the way, this pipe would have to bend. Now this isn't the greatest example, but you get the point. So I'm going to hit my auto key button, and I'm going to say at 57, this box is going to come over here and stop. Well, in real life, I'll go ahead and move my perspective view here. In real life, when that thing moves, well, of course, that pipe is in the way. So what we may do is say, okay, in our front view, since it's a nice straight shot here, we'll come in and view a little bit. In our front view, we want to animate the pipe so it bends as this piece moves into place. So we select the actual pipe, hit auto key. And what you'll notice is our pivot point is down here at the bottom. It's going to pivot here. Let's hit auto key and start moving our block. And at this point, the block is actually intersecting with the pipe. So let's go ahead and modify and up the bend. There you go. So it looks like it's touching. Now we can come back here. Notice it already starts to bend before the thing gets there. So how do we fix that? Well, we come back here, we take our first key of the bend and we move it up so it doesn't start bending until the part gets right about there. So we're going to keep moving this keyframe. So we're just a little bit of tweaking here. And remember, it's a visual perception. Maybe around here, we got to bend it some more. Okay. And then we're going to keep bending it a little bit at a time. Adding some keyframes in there. Just kind of eyeballing it up there. A little bit more. And eventually going to get to the point where you can spread out the keyframes a little bit and it'll automatically animate. Such as this. Okay. So about here we know that this piece is going to be down here. And there you go. Alright, so now we go to turn the auto key off, and as we move our slider back, you'll notice that visually it looks like this object, this blue object, is coming in with a force, and as it hits the pipe bends. All right. So in its simplest form, this is one way that we can create an accident reenactment so that you're using a modifier to animate. Now I'm going to show you one more. We'll go ahead and delete those, get them completely out of there. You may be doing something such as this. Let's say in the front view, I'm going to draw an I-beam, and an I-beam is used in industry, and I'm going to do a really quick one here. You might actually want to go out and get a section view of an I-beam and draw one up to scale. But an I-beam is used in construction. And let's say that you were trying to simulate during a say an earthquake, a I-beam twisting and deforming and bending at the same time. So I can come down and I'm going to extrude this I-beam, which in industry, that's exactly what an I-beam is it's a shape extruded. In fact, I'll do about 1,000. And you'll want to draw yours to scale. But let's say we have this I-beam, this construction I-beam, and a lot of times those are red. This I-beam. Now, the other thing we need to do here is add some segments. If we twist this thing, nothing's going to really happen. So we add some segments in there, maybe about 50 segments. Now, I can animate over time. Come over here to the beginning, hit Auto key, and apply the twist modifier to it. And twist is another deformation that you can apply. And let's say over 50 frames, this beam is going to twist 90 degrees. Okay, which is, it looks quite funny in the front view, but in all honesty, this can't happen. For whatever reason, if this I-beam is, say, bolted to something and it starts to shear and it starts to move, maybe this function over here of the I-beam is bolted to a structure that's not moving, but this I-beam is shifting because of ground movement, such as an earthquake. That can twist, and it can physically twist the beam over time. And again, that's a product failure or part of an accident reenactment that you could do this. Okay, so basic fundamentals of animation along with animating modifiers are highly recommended for your accident reenactment. One of the benefits of having the ability to animate modifiers. Okay, so hopefully that helped as a nice review.